Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 23rd, 2026 meeting of the City Council of Maitland. Please remember to silence your phones or devices. And if you would like to speak during our public period or any other period we have for our open mic competition, please fill out a speaker card. They're out front, but also up at the podium where we do our speaking. Let's begin this meeting with a moment of silence, but also let's first remember that we lost a member of the community this weekend in a very difficult situation, and there's family grieving tonight, and there's a community grieving for them. So let's keep that in our hearts. Please rise with me and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's go with old business first. Mark, is there any old business?
No, sir.
Okay. Consent agenda. Does any member of the council wish to remove any of the items from the consent agenda? Okay. Does anybody from the public have any comment on consent agenda items 4 through 7? Seeing none, let's close the public period, and a motion would be in order.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda from March 23rd, 2026.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember French.
Aye.
Councilmember Guthrie.
Aye.
Councilmember Cheney.
Aye.
Mayor Lott.
Aye. Okay, now is our public period, so the moment in our meeting when anybody who has anything on their mind would like to speak to us, please step forward on any matter that's not otherwise on the agenda and we'll get to later. Does anybody have anything this evening? Okay, seeing none, let's close the public comment period and move on to decisions. The first item is the second reading ordinance number 1456. Lori, would you please read the ordinance title?
Ordinance number 1456, an ordinance of the City of Maitland, Florida, setting forth administrative designation consistent with the requirements of section 177.071 Florida Statutes 2025, amending the Land Development Code section 2.5, subdivision 2.5.2b, site development and planning, section 6.4 subdivision, 6.4.2 bond inspection, report and acceptance, providing for compensation, severability, conflicts, and setting an effective date.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Daniels, would you like to introduce the item?
I would. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. Good evening, City Council. Mike Daniels with Community Development Department, here to present staff comments for the second reading for ordinance number 1456. As we discussed during the first reading, this is a state mandated requirement, Senate Bill 784, which requires all local governments to create an administrative process for the approval of subdivision plats and replats. In August 25th, City Council adopted a resolution that stipulated that community development would be responsible for processing plat applications, and that the city manager would be designated as the administrative official who would approve and sign for those plats. However, that was just an interim step for the staff to be able to go back, go through all of our code requirements where we reference the subdivision language and the platting language, and then come back with a permanent ordinance amending our land development regulations, which is what this ordinance is for. The types of plats that will now be completely administrative, we have minor subdivisions, which are commercial subdivisions of 4 lots or less, or residential, which is 10 lots or less. And then we have major subdivisions, both in terms of, we have a preliminary subdivision plan, which comes before council, as well as a final subdivision plat, which comes before council. All of that will now be done administratively. And here's a graphic which basically shows what our process is. Initially, an application is made, a determination of completeness is provided, then it's reviewed by staff. Previously, it would have gone through the public hearing process and it would go to the advisory board and then council. Now those two areas are grayed out, and essentially it will go directly and be reviewed administratively. The reason I put under number 4 that the decision-making body council could still be involved in plating is because we do have language in the code where it's depending on the size of the plat and depending on the number of units that are being proposed, there is a requirement that there is a park dedication. And if they meet those requirements, that part of the plat review would still come before council. But other than that, it would just be an administrative process. With that, staff is recommending approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, does anybody have any questions of Mike? No? All right, well, let's open it up to the public. Does anybody from the public have any comment on this ordinance? All right, seeing none, let's close the public comment period. If there's no further discussion, that motion will be in order.
I move to approve the second and final reading of ordinance number 1456, designating administrative authority to receive, review, and process plat and replat submittals pursuant to Chapter 177 Florida statutes.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Lauren, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Guthrie.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaney.
Aye.
Councilmember French.
Aye.
Mayor Lo.
Aye. Okay, it is now an ordinance, or will soon be. Thank you, Mike. All right, next we have first reading, ordinance number 1455, amending the land development code. Lauren, would you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance number 1455, an ordinance of the City of Maitland, Florida, relating to the Land Development Code, amending Article 5 Development Standards, provide Section 5.16, establishing a process for the review of reasonable accommodation requests for certified recovery residences pursuant to Florida Statute Section 397.487, providing for conflicts, providing for codification, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Mr. Daniels, you're still here.
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay.
Similar to the previous item on the agenda, this is another state mandated requirement. This is from Senate Bill 954 from last year, where it required that all local governments establish a process for the review and approval of certified recovery residences, and also to provide a process for applicants for certified recovery residents to apply for reasonable accommodations for any local land use regulation. So what a certified recovery residence, or a CRR, is it's defined as a recovery residence that holds a valid certificate of compliance and is actively managed by a certified recovery residence administrator. It is for the treatment of individuals that are recovering from drug and alcohol addiction. There are different levels to a CRR. You have the level 4, which is the very intensive version of treatment. And then as it gets to level 2 and level 1, it gets to be more of an independent process. So a level 2 example for a recovery residence would be a situation where you have individuals living in a home with a certified administrator. And then level 1 is where they're essentially independently living in a home. So typically a level 2 is what it's called, and you're probably familiar with the term sober home, where they're typically in residential areas But essentially, you have folks that are recovering from drug and alcohol addiction with an administrator. Basically, in our current zoning ordinance, CRRs are a permitted use in our existing residential zoning districts, where we allow single-family detached dwellings to reside. So basically, if you look at the definition of a family within the city of Maitland, it's either one or more persons occupying a single dwelling that are related by law, blood, or marriage, or no such family shall contain over 5 persons. So as long as there are 5 or less unrelated people, a certified recovery residence is currently a permitted, allowed use. So with this ordinance that we're proposing, we're not proposing to add that language in, because again, the CRR language is defined by statute, and we already allow this use within the city. What we're focusing on with this ordinance is the second part, which has to do with establishing a reasonable accommodation process. So the way we've set it up is that the community development director or designee will review an application for reasonable accommodation, and we'll be looking at criteria such as the applicant has established, number one, that they are handicapped or disabled, again, pursuant to statutory definition, that the accommodation is reasonable and necessary, that the request does not impose an undue financial or administrative hardship on the city, and that it doesn't fundamentally alter the nature of the city's regulations. Within that 60-day period, the community development director will then issue a determination. It can be either approval, denial, or approval with conditions. Now, the applicant does have a right to appeal that decision to the city manager. The reason it's, the approval process goes to the community development director as well as the city manager is that part of the language in the statute is that it similar to Live Local, is that it has to remain an administrative process as opposed to going in front of an elected or appointed body. The other step that we added in the process is revocation. So if someone is granted a reasonable accommodation request, that can be revoked if they are no longer qualified as a recovery residence, or they're not meeting the specific conditions that were outlined in the approval. So a couple of items that I wanted to bring up as part of the revocation process is if a facility is approved for a reasonable accommodation, they are required every year to certify that they are still certified by the state as recovery residents, and if for whatever reason the application is revoked, the community development director will issue them a determination that the request has been revoked, and that then, similar to the original approval, they can appeal that process to the city manager. This was approved by P&Z, but they initially tabled the requirement, and these two requirements in particular were additional items that we added, to again try to make sure that if we do have recovery residences, that we're making sure that they're following the rules that they're supposed to follow. So with that, staff is recommending approval on first reading, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? I have a question. What types of accommodation do you think people would be looking for this? Is it like a physical kind of amendment to the home, or what would it be?
Well, and again, it's so broad, it's pretty much any land use regulation, so it's going to depend on a case by case. Some of the things that we were thinking of is, we are talking about disabled individuals, so theoretically if they wanted maybe a variance from a setback for a handicap ramp. But again, we're not talking about a typical disability, we're talking about people who are recovered from drugs and alcohol, so that may not be appropriate. One that obviously, people could apply for if they wanted a variance into a setback because they're adding an additional bedroom, let's say for a potential resident. And that could be something that they request. Certainly, they also have the ability to request more people. But again, just because they request it, it does have to come to staff for review. So if they were to come in and say, we want a reasonable accommodation to allow 7 or 8 people in this house, I mean, most likely staff would recommend against something like that. But again, at this point, it's really wide open in terms of what they could apply for.
If I could add to that, Mayor, just to add clarification, I think because of how Maitland defines family for purposes of single family, it pulls you outside of the category the legislature is really trying to address with the statute that developed this. Because really what they were doing was those communities that would not allow the sober home in a residential, would not allow the 4 unrelated or the 5 unrelated as Maitland does. That's where I think the legislature was really focused on creating a mechanism for you to request the relief in those jurisdictions that wouldn't even allow that type of residence in a residential. So as Mike points out, there's no limit in the statute on what it could be for, but what it would be for in Maitland is probably a little bit different than it would be in most other places because you already have a fairly liberal definition of what a family is here.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to get at that. What was the animating force behind
It was the difficulty that certified recovery residences have because most codes definitely do not encourage them, and most would not allow. And so where you would not be able to put that in any residential district in a community, and community versus community on down the line in that area, none of them allow it. There are these really gaps in Florida where you can even have these types of facilities, and that's what the legislature is trying to address.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. Okay, any other questions on this? All right, do we have anybody from the public who would like to give us a comment on this? No? Okay, let's close the public comment period.
One request in the revocation section, revocation reasonable accommodation, there is that October 31 reporting date that they're supposed to report by. That's my error. That should be September 30th. I was trying to tie it to the fiscal year and I got my months wrong, so that should be September 30th. If you wouldn't mind making that motion as amended.
Okay. So you want it to be
September 30th.
September 30th. Okay, whoever would like to make that motion might want to take that into account.
September 30th. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 1455, amending the Land Development Code to establish a process to review reasonable accommodations, request for certified recovery residents with the reporting date of September 30th.
Yes, sir.
2026.
Not the year, just annual.
Okay, September 30th. Okay. That's my motion.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember French.
Aye.
Councilmember Guthrie.
Aye.
Councilmember Cheney.
Aye.
Mayor Webb.
Aye. All right, we have another first reading, ordinance number 1457, also amending the Land Development Code. Lori, would you please read the ordinance title?
Ordinance number 1457, an ordinance of the City of Maitland, Florida, amending the Land Development Code based on the adopted 2050 Comprehensive Development Plan. Year-based amendments to eliminate all references to downtown Maitland Plan Development District, including the Density Incentive Community Enhancement Program known as DICE, downtown Maitland, and modifying downtown floor area ratio consistent with the 2050 CDP, and more, particularly described as follows. Table of Contents, Article 1, General Provisions, Article 2, Administration, Article 3, Zone Districts, Article 4, Use Regulations, and Article 5, Development Standards, and providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Mike, are you up again?
I'm up again.
Okay.
This ordinance is essentially the next step in the approval of the ear-based comprehensive plan amendment, which was approved on November 10th. Essentially, the main issues that were addressed as part of that ear-based amendment was allowing for parcels within the downtown area, within the downtown Maitland zoning district, to go up to 67 units per acre regardless of parcel size, and also to eliminate the DICE requirements. So essentially, we're taking the language that we did with the CDP and now incorporating it into our land development code. Again, over the past 15 years, density and intensity was based on parcel size, and starting in 2019 is when, as a part of the Main Street Future Land Use District, in order to maximize your density and intensity, you had to go through the DICE program. So essentially, now change the comprehensive plan. Now we're changing the land development code to allow for a maximum of 67 units per acre and a 3.0 floor area ratio for all of the parcels, regardless of size. Also, the elimination of the downtown Maitland PD and the downtown Maitland PD Edge, which the reason we had those two districts was specifically to go through the DICE program. So they've now been eliminated, and obviously eliminating the density incentive community enhancement regulations. So, obviously there's a number of sections in our land development code where we reference these various items, but essentially what we're doing is we're going in and cleaning up the ordinance and taking that language out. So it's a lot of pages, but essentially we're not changing anything that was already approved with the comprehensive plan, just basically going in and now putting that into our land development code. Staff's recommending approval, and again, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions of Mike on this?
How did this go at planning and zoning?
They didn't have any comments. We did meet with all of the Planning and Zoning Commission members, partly because we also wanted to talk to them about the previous CRR ordinance. But essentially, we explained, what the comprehensive plan amendment did back in November, and that essentially we were just taking that and putting it into our land development code. Now, there were some other items that they had brought up, that they wanted to maybe look at in our zoning code, which is something that we may do in the future, but we wanted to kind of separate that from the specific ear-based amendments, which were related specifically to the comp plan changes.
Okay, thank you.
Scott, you have something?
No, I don't know whether we need to sort of contextualize this again about DICE. We didn't get any, we're not getting applications under DICE.
No.
And we're trying to encourage market-based, market-rate development through this change.
Yes.
I thought we took DICE out of everything in those changes, though.
We did it in the comp plan, this
Oh.
is in the land development code.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought we did both.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is basically cleaning up
Just
that
clean
language.
that
We're
up.
not adding anything
Okay.
new.
All right. Sorry for my misunderstanding.
Yeah, so the comp plan essentially allows us to do this.
Yes.
So we can do this, or we can do less than this. if we want to. All right. Any other questions of Mike on this? Does anybody from the public have any comment on this item? About the public comment? But seeing none, let's close the public comment period. And if there's no further discussion, the motion would be in order.
Yeah, I'm happy to make another motion. It seems like it's pretty simple for it to do. I would move to approve on first reading ordinance number 1457, amending the land development code to change downtown Maitland zone district density and intensity requirements in the downtown Maitland zoning district, and to eliminate the downtown Maitland plan development PD zone district DM-PD edge and the DICE program to conform with the newly adopted comprehensive development plan update as presented.
Second.
You had the easy part of that, didn't you?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we need to set a second hearing date on this? Or is that to be determined? Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Lori, would you please call the vote?
Councilmember French.
Aye.
Councilmember Cheney.
Aye.
Councilmember Guthrie.
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
Aye. Okay, now we are on to water Waterfront Structure Appeal 125 Stonehill Drive. And Mike is here to introduce that item as well.
Yes. Again, the item is the waterfront structure appeal located at 125 Stonehill Drive. The applicant for the project is Robin Lopez with Summertime Dock and Deck. The property owner is Carlota and Nicholas Pappas. They originally submitted the application on October 8th. And as part of the waterfront structure process, all of the notification requirements, the property owner and the surrounding property owners were notified of the application. The plan went through 4 rounds of review. However, there is one comment that is still not in compliance, and that is that there is a minimum side yard setback of 10 feet from side property lines, intersecting at the lake elevation identified for the normal high water elevations. As a result of that, staff sent a letter of denial on February 23rd, and then the applicant has filed for an appeal that same day. So here's an aerial view of the property. This is the property in question right here. And this is the lake, obviously, to the east. As you can see, the property line on the south side, is going in the northeasterly. So the further out you push the dock, the closer you are to the side property lines. The existing dock that's currently there is currently in compliance with those 10-foot requirement. And you can see the existing dock underneath the proposed dock here. The proposed dock is longer. It's 26 feet in width, and it's 10 feet 10 feet in width and 26 feet in length. And as you can see, it's further out, closer to Lake Seminary. As you can see, the setback is being shown is 5 foot 8 inches on both sides, which is in violation of the city code. As I said, the applicant has appealed this ruling, and the application letter is in your packet. But specifically, the reasons for the appeal, which the applicant can go into more detail on, but it had to do with insufficient depth for the for mooring of the boat at its current location, and insufficient slip width and length for a typical boat that's available in today's market. There have been no objections from surrounding property owners. So with that, council can move to affirm, reverse, or modify the decision of the reviewing staff. Staff standpoint, we're silent on the recommendation. Obviously, staff recommended denial of the fact that they are not meeting the setback, and the existing dock does meet the setback. At the same time, as I mentioned, there haven't been any objections from surrounding property owners, and as the board knows, there is a lot of leeway in terms of from the board's decision in terms of what they see as their key criteria in whether or not any sort of appeal should be granted. So with that, the applicant is here, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Mike?
I would say, can you put up that one where you had the old dock and the new dock? So, I'm looking at this, and back in the day, I used to build docks up in Topsail, North Carolina. So, I got to tell you guys, I really like this new dock. I don't see anybody here complaining. That usually tells me if somebody doesn't want this built or they have a problem, trust me, they would be here. I like that the boat comes straight in, because even the old dock is, if I pulled my boat up to the side, then it would be out more than what that dock is right now. And to the north, there looked like there was plenty of space between that new piece of dock and the existing dock of the neighbor. So I really don't have a problem with this. In fact, I think it looks like a really nice dock. Yeah, just gonna go with our rules, like if they build is there gonna be anything built on that? Do we know? Is there gonna be a shed or like an open shed or
I think the applicant's here.
Yeah, the applicant's here, but no, I don't, yeah.
just as long as they know the standard rules, and I'm sure that you're guiding them through that it can't be enclosed and no dredging and all that good stuff. Okay.
Why don't we do this, if there's no more questions for Mike, why don't we ask the applicant to come up, and then we can ask questions directly from somebody.
Okay.
Might have some knowledge about it. Probably, actually, if you wouldn't mind, it'd probably be better over here.
That one's a little fickle.
So I could sit there and move my mouth and it would.
Yeah.
Good evening, my name is Robin Lopez. I'm with Summertime Deck and Dock, or Dock and Deck as it said there, doesn't really matter. Nick Pappas is with me. Nick is the property owner. We are here to answer any questions you guys have. We have additional pictures as well of water depth and the width of the slips. As Mr. Guthrie said, obviously you got to have a slip that's wide enough to put a boat in to make it worthwhile. And we got just enough walkway on either side to comply with the additional regulations for Maitland to make sure that we didn't have issues with the walkway width, which is also in the code there. We'd love to go out further, but we aren't being greedy. This will get us just what we need to put a regular sized boat in. We know they have some of the giant, what do they call them, I guess, the wake surf boats that are out there these days. It's not a possibility, not a feasibility for this one, but it does allow a family of four to have a good time on the lake with a regular boat here. So,
Yeah. I don't know at Lake Seminary you can get too many
That's true.
wakeboarding laps in.
There's one and done. You're right. Like go off of there. So we're here to answer any questions and provide any additional references that we can to further your. Mr. Guthrie had a question. We will be putting a roof over it, but no enclosed structure.
Okay.
A roof and a boat slip.
All right. No dredging plans and anything like that.
No, sir.
Great. And that's what materials are you using?
Substructure will be, they actually have composite substructure now, so the composite substructure with the composite deck surface on top of it. And then the roof will match the tile in the house.
And the supports will be wood?
Pressure treated pine.
Pressure treated pine?
Mhm.
Okay. I think I got them. I think anybody else.
Okay, anybody else? I have a few questions. So I'm looking at the plans here. The plans indicate that the current dock is 8 foot 2 inches wide, is that right?
Yes, sir. It's less than 8.5 for sure.
Okay, all right. And what you're proposing is going to be 20 feet wide?
No, it should be 18.
Okay, I didn't see any indication of any kind of width on the plans that I got. I mean, I do see a distance from the property line.
Is there some way that I can present something on the screen?
Well, yeah, you can present what you like to the clerk, if you'd like. She can distribute.
Are those copies the city can keep?
The city already has it somewhere. Yeah, so that.
If I could make a comment. In the application documents that was included in the packet, those details are also in there as well.
Okay. All right. Well, the information that I had in front of me to study and make a decision on didn't have any of this in it. So, but now I see. So the plan is to go from an 8 foot 2 inches to 22 feet 4 inches, right? So you're essentially tripling the width of this thing.
I don't know where you're getting the 22 feet 4 inch
Well,
dimension.
because this says 22 feet 4 inches.
Is that the roof overhang?
Yeah.
Okay, if you could, yes, sir. The roof overhang, yes,
Okay.
but not the actual walking surface.
Okay. And
It's
the
a
water-
10 foot slip plus 4 feet on either side, so that would be an 18 foot overall width on that.
Okay. And so what's there is on the screen is 8 foot 2 inches, right?
8 foot 2 inches, yes, sir.
And that's
So we're going from 8 foot 2 to 10 feet.
8 foot 2 is on the existing deck.
okay. 8 foot 2 is not including the roof or anything else.
That's the opening, yes, sir. The opening of the existing dock.
Okay. So you don't have. There's no no indication of what the existing dock actually looks like. That's just the opening for the slip.
I thought that was the layout of the existing dock.
Yeah.
It's a wooden dock that went straight out.
Right.
Yeah, now I'm a little confused.
Yeah,
All right. Well, yeah, so the plans that I have, that's all I have right there. And what that indicates is an 8-foot, the shaded part is the new part that you would build. The kind of ghosted piece there with the crosshatch is what's currently in the water. And that says it's 8'2", and you're going to go to 18 feet.
correct, 18
Okay.
feet. Yes, sir.
Okay, so well, it's actually 8'2", and you're going to go to 22 feet, because I assume that includes everything that's there, including the roof. So it's 8'2", and you're going to go to 22, which is essentially all but tripling the sizes. And in doing so, you end up getting just 5 foot 8 inches away from the neighbor's lots, which have a 10-foot setback. And you know, it just seems like it's a much bigger dock than fits the space. And let me ask this question to you. So you're moving it out in the water. I suppose that's to give you better access to the lake. Is that because the lake is shallower where the current dock is?
Yes, sir.
What would dredging do for you in that sense?
Alyssa, the city engineer, and I discussed that. We would have to dredge beyond the normal high water elevation line, and so it would no longer be anywhere near the contours, the natural contours of the lake. And she said that would not be in compliance with city code.
Okay. So what is it's not indicated on the width of the slip that you have there is, what is that?
10 feet.
10 feet. Okay, what size boat are you thinking about putting in the 10-foot wide slip?
To be trailerable in the U.S., you have to be 8.5 feet or less.
Okay. All right, and I guess the materials it looked like it said there was an 18-foot boat with a swimming platform wouldn't fit anything less than 10 feet?
Width-wise?
Yeah.
No, sir, because of the cradle. So the cable's on the side of the cradle in order to lift it out of the water.
So you put in a boat lift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so currently your dock is 14 feet off the property line from the southern edge of the property line. And it's a little over 10 and a half from the north property line. So that is within our current regulations. And then you propose to build it to within 5 foot 8 inches on both sides. And that is largely because, for two reasons. One, because it's going to be much, much larger, wider, but it's also going to be further out and closer to the narrow end of the pie. All right, those are my questions.
I might follow up.
Yeah, sure.
On another lake, in my neighborhood, there's a property owner who was upset by a structure that was built next door on the lake. It was noticed, but apparently they were out of the country, didn't see the notice, and are now feeling that they missed their opportunity. And I wondered if the homeowner had an opportunity to speak directly with the neighbors, and if they have indicated anything verbally beyond just the city official notification.
Yes, sir. I can have Mr. Papa speak to that directly if you'd like, but he did speak to we'll call it the southern neighbor in his neighborhood and got his verbal agreement and sign off on that one. The property to the north is actually in Seminole County, and it is somewhat of a derelict, not habitated property, so we were unable to get sign off for any access in their dock because in a terrible state of disrepair anyway. So the one person that does live there and is a part of the community has verbally said A-okay, and oh, by the way, when the guys come to work on your dock, send them my way to do a little bit of work on his as well.
So does that owner own it? Yeah, you're saying it makes it sound like they're renting that house. Are they the owner of that house?
So you're talking about to this,
The one you said, send them over to get some work done on Maitland.
Yes, sir.
So they both own the house on both sides?
Yes, sir, I must have misspoken. Yep.
Okay, so you were able to talk to the person?
Well, I did, yes, and Mr. Pappas did.
Yes.
I mean, Scott, what are you thinking, like, you went into, I mean, I don't know, maybe we do have it here in this city, and Mike can tell us, is it written in agreements that they don't have a problem with it? Are you looking for something like that to say, hey, just put it down on a piece of paper that you have no problem with this?
Well, I would think, we get a lot of feedback from citizens who don't get our official notices. We notice them on all kinds of, oh, sorry, I should repeat that.
Well, they get them.
That's what I'm,
They get
my
'em.
point is they do get them, but are they reading them, are they seeing them? And in something like this that could lead to a dispute in the future, I would feel better if we knew that this neighbor had no problem with it. I don't know whether that is how the other council members feel about that. I just have heard it enough in recent times about notification, and I don't want there to be a misunderstanding. I don't think it would be good for anybody for that to happen. I don't know whether it's a common practice to
No, listen,
ask for that.
I'm with you, because if we're doing something, I mean, we have, our codes,
Yeah.
and we're really making exceptions to our code for this. So I'm with you. I mean, that would keep us out of a bad place too, if we had just a written agreement from the neighbor saying,
I have no objection.
I have no
to-
objection.
We're happy to provide that for you, absolutely.
How would you feel about that?
Can I state something?
Sure.
I mean, come up.
Sure,
please.
go up. Your representative is here, you can certainly be on your own.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Pappas, the owner at 125 Stonehill, and actually Mr. Josiah Biddle is the neighbor that we're talking about, and he actually would have been here tonight. I asked him to come, but he ended up falling. He's sick, so he's like, "Oh, sorry, I can't make it." So I can definitely get a written notification or acknowledgement that he agrees to doing this, that he's accepting it.
How about from the other neighbor?
The other neighbor I have not met. Like, we have never seen him out there, and unfortunately, that dock looks like it hasn't been used in about 15 years, maybe.
Yeah.
So, like, I have not met them. His house, the way it's set way back, and it's in a different part of, it's not in our neighborhood. So I have yet to meet that neighbor.
Yeah, I mean, would you feel comfortable just knocking on his door?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, if that's what it takes,
Yeah.
no problem at all.
Steve, what do you think?
I think the same thing. I think for us, it'd be nice to have a couple little notes in the file that said that they were definitely, again, as Scott says, we know the notices are put out there for people to see, and people don't see them, and complain they haven't seen them. So anyway, it just seems like a simple thing to do and just get it done.
Yeah.
Covers everybody.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, would a recommendation be to table this, John, or bring it back?
Well, let's ask our attorney that.
Okay.
What are our options?
If your desire is to have letters of non-objection before you decide, the motion table would be appropriate.
Do we need to have a date to bring it back, or no?
Could I offer an alternative? Could we approve pending signed approval from the neighbors? Save a revisit?
True.
I don't have a problem with that. Practically, my only concern for the applicant is if you cannot find that Seminole County neighbor to get that letter, that could bring you back here. But if you can get both of them, that would avoid them having to come back for another hearing.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm good with that.
All
I'm
right.
gonna make that motion.
All right, my concerns are just about the size of it, and, if it meets our standards size-wise, or not to impinge on property setbacks, that's fine. But since it does impinge on property setbacks, the sight lines, especially in the, when you're kind of in a, pie-shaped lot like that, and I was looking at it on Google Earth, and it looks like the concern really is for the southern neighbor, because that's the one whose view would be somewhat blocked by this. The northern neighbor in Seminole County has more direct, kind of just perpendicular access to the lake, and his dock is far over to the right side or the southern end of his property, so it's not probably that big of a deal.
That was the issue, was the sight lines
Yeah.
were affected
Right.
in the case I was describing.
So Drew, can you help us navigate that a little bit? I mean, we need a date certain by the time we get an approval letter from the neighbors.
Well, it would be a motion to approve, subject to receipt by the city of non-objection letters from, if it's both neighbors, if it's one of the two neighbors, the southern neighbor, to follow that last comment you made.
Yeah.
Motion to reverse.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right, motion to reverse it is on appeal.
Okay. So, again, what we'd be looking for would be a motion to reverse the staff decision based on receipt of a notice of non-objection to neighbors, one or two of them, depending on who makes the motion, by a week, 2 weeks.
Well, whether you want the date certain or not, the date certain in my mind is not necessarily necessary, because until they submit that, they don't have the ability to move forward.
Right. Yes.
Since the neighbor to the north is in Seminole County and not a Maitland property, how do we feel about requiring their
We look out
signature?
for everybody, no matter where they are. We're-
Equal opportunity looker outer?
Yeah.
Again, because we don't know what the status of that resident is, we're concerned
Well, my
that,
personal concern is less about that neighbor, and not because they're just in Seminole County, because we love them.
so I guess what we're asking is, could we make it the southern neighbor, contingent upon the southern neighbor's signature?
Well, that would be your suggestion, but somebody here would have to make it.
Absolutely.
I think I'd be good with both neighbors, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
What we were saying, that letter of what?
Non-objection.
Yeah.
And has the site been open, before you took motion, has the site been open to public yet?
No, you're right. Good point. Well, okay, thank you. Is there anything else from you all? Okay, we're going to open it up to the public, as we are required to do and love to do. Is there anybody from the public who would like to address us on this matter this evening? Okay. Going once, going twice. All right, let's close the public comment period. And then if we would like any further discussion, we can have it. If anybody has a motion.
I have a motion, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to throw it out there, and if not, I'm sure Drew can tidy it up for me a little bit, because he's really good at that. But I would make a motion to reverse staff's decision of the waterfront structure appeal at 125 Stonehill Drive. And for the project, subject
To.
Yeah, I was going to say for the project to be approved, subject to 2 letters of non-objection from the north and south neighbor. Is that
Subject to
clear?
receipt by the city of those letters?
Yes, sir.
And if they're unable to receive, for instance, the Seminole County property, that one, this doesn't have to guard your motion, just so I understand the motion, then the expectation would be they could come back before you and present that information to you, and then you go from there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's a motion on the floor.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on it? None? Lori, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Guthrie.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaney.
Aye.
Councilmember French.
Aye.
Mayor Lent.
Aye. Okay. All right, number 5 on our decision item. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you very much.
The 2026 general municipal election certificate and official results. All right. This is a big item here. Lori, would you please read the results?
Yes, we held a general municipal election on Tuesday, March 10th. For the city charter, when the city holds an election, not in conjunction with the citywide election, the city canvassing board shall canvass returns and issue certificates recorded in the minutes of the next regular city council meeting. The results for Official results for March 10th, 2026, Maitland City Council seat 2 are as follows. Keith Gibbons, 1,453 votes for 58.75%. Alexander Trauger, 1,020 votes for 41.25% of the votes. Total votes cast were 2,473. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Does anybody from council have any questions for Lori? Okay, does anybody from the public that they'd like to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, let's close the public comment period, and then a motion will be in order.
Yeah, I would move that we would accept the 2026 general municipal election certificate and official results as delivered.
Okay,
A second?
a motion and a second. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Shaney?
Aye.
Councilmember Guthrie?
Aye.
Councilmember French?
Aye.
Mayor Lance?
Aye. Okay, congratulations, Mr. Gibbons. All right, you'll be up here soon enough. All right, this appointment to the Police and Fire Pension Trust Fund.
Yes, you recently made an appointment to fill a vacancy the second meeting of January 2026 due to current serving resident member moving out of the city. Subsequently, Mr. Barros, that you appointed in January of 2026, has moved out of the city, creating a new vacancy for the same resident member seat. Pursuant to statute, the city council is required to appoint one resident to serve the remainder of the unexpired four-year term commencing March 2026 and expiring May 2028. Paul Goldstein submitted an application for consideration, and it was attached in your packet for review. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Any questions of Lori?
And he's not moving out of the city anytime soon.
Good. Good. All right.
Did the one, here's my question, did the one gentleman even make it to one meeting?
No.
Okay, that's my only question.
All right. Okay. All right, so does anybody have any nominations from council on this item?
I nominate Paul Goldstein.
Okay, that's one nomination. Anybody else? All right, how do we feel about Paul Goldstein? Is anybody second or third that nomination?
Second?
Second? I'll third it. Yeah, all right. All right, make it unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Goldstein,
Will she show
for...
up at the meeting?
Yes, we'll be there.
Yes, looks like he's well qualified and eager to do the work, which is
All
great.
right, keep that. Another person will in there,
All right.
participate in community life.
Exactly. All right, so that is Pension and Fire, Citizen Advisory Boards. We had a meeting about this a couple weeks ago, well attended, well discussed. Mr. Guthrie, would you like to?
Yeah, sure would. I wish Mr. Randolph was here because I know this is a big subject to him, and I didn't know if, I didn't know he was not going to be in attendance, but
Do you want to wait till he's in attendance, or?
I don't know how much time I have left.
One more meeting.
I got one more meeting. So, I mean, we can notify him. He should be back next meeting, right? Yeah. Okay.
So it'll be the meeting,
First meeting in
April. So I just wanted to talk to everybody, and I didn't know, we said, listen, find things that we want these boards to do. Let's bring it out and say, we want to see the boards do this and this, and I didn't know if everybody had time to think, and I mean, I don't recall us going, well, the boards, we want them to do this, and this in the future. I did get a chance to look over Lakes Advisory Board because, I was on Lakes Advisory Board and I'm a water guy, so of course I did. But some of the things that I would like to see, have a discussion and come up with direction for these boards is things like for Lakes Advisory Board, have them look over shoreline modification, shoreline restoration, shoreline alterations that come to the city, any kind of lakes and waterway improvements, aquatic plant management, anything that we do with that, goes through them. And of course, stormwater fees, but I think that already happens, correct? The stormwater fees go through them? Okay. So just those kinds of things, and I didn't know if anybody else here had a chance to really go through and say, you know what, this board could really, needs to do this and this. And I know I'm getting ready to leave, so I kind of like, put this to bed. So that's kind of why the discussion today. And Mark was nice enough to put it on a decision item, because if we wanted to make a decision.
Right.
Now, you guys can make a decision tonight and go, I think we're good, we don't need to do anything, let's shut it down. Or we could bring it back and everybody could do a little homework and say, you know what, these might be good to have for our citizen boards to look at.
Okay. Well, what would you rather do? Would you rather wait until Bill's here, we can do it all at once, or?
Yeah.
And then we can think about it until then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would love that.
All right.
So should we table this item then? Do we need a motion to table, or we?
No, I can just with consensus, I can just put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
I think everybody's good. Steve?
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Nancy. Yeah, now we do it. Okay, discussion. Is there any discussion items, Mark?
No.
All right. City manager's report.
As you brought up at the beginning of the meeting, I'd just like to extend our gratitude for professionalism, our police and fire department, our sister agencies for the search of the young man that was lost over the weekend. As I kept everyone appraised of the situation, I'm sure you watched it on the news, they performed at the highest level of professionalism as we would expect, and they don't expect any thank you for this because they see it as just doing their job, but it is certainly going above and beyond. And as we were talking about just before the meeting, there was an interview with the parents of the young man just this evening, and they could not have been more thankful for the efforts that our police and fire department and the sister agencies that stepped in to help us out with that search extended to them. They said they treated searching for their son like they were searching for the president. So thank you very much for what you guys have done.
Thank you, yes. And we kind of have come to expect that from our police and fire departments because we know that they're top notch. One of the things that struck me was the interagency coordination, how many different agencies were involved and how much we have to rely on all around us. So that was heartening as well.
And Mayor, on that point, those other agencies didn't have to come, they wanted to come. And it's because of those two gentlemen in the back of the room there.
Well, thank you. All right, we're in reports. Anything more than that?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. City Attorney?
Yes, sir.
Just that I left some things for you guys to take home with all the upcoming events through kind of summer. We're keeping other calendars, we're just a reminder to or something like that.
Yes, thank you for that. There's a lot going on. Yes.
Right up on the wall.
Yes, thank you for that. Okay, does anybody on the council have any reports?
No, I just want to say that I'm really happy this election's over. It wasn't, after the election, I saw, an article written that the vice chair of the city of Maitland was not going to run, did not want to run for this chair anymore. And that, it was an article, and I was like, oh, Lord. And then I saw a local partisan organization say that, on their Facebook post, say that this chair is flipped.
I saw that too.
Yeah, I didn't even know I was Republican. That was a great thing. And then I know the state partisan organization, financially put $4,500 into this. So I would just like to say to everybody out there, let's keep this local. We don't need to have outside partisan groups influencing our elections. We're all just Maitland people, and it should be what's best for Maitland, not what color you are or organization you are. So that's all I wanted to say. But that's it. That's for my report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anything else? I have an item I'd like to raise. So for several years now, we've been trying to get, we use currently, as you all probably know, the quad next to Maitland Middle School. The big, it used to be 4 baseball diamonds, now it's down to 2, but it's just a big open space. And it's owned by OCPS, and through agreements we've had for some time now, we basically take care of it, we mow it, we level it, we've done all kinds of investment in that property, and we have the right to use it on non-school hours and on the weekends. And there's also that little tennis court that's over kind of on the northeast side of the school over there, which is not connected, and I don't think we have any agreement on that one at all. But for several years, we've been trying to kind of more, concretize the agreement. It's kind of a loose use agreement now. It can be suspended at any time. We've been trying to get a long-term use agreement, which would be more like a lease, so we can have it. The purpose would be, if we had more security in that property and we knew that it was going to be ours for some period of time, we could invest in it. We could, rather than just leaving it out there. I mean, it's a great facility as it is, but we could plant a park there. We could have a walking track around it. You could maybe put a little parking in there so people could access it. I don't know, whatever we want to do. We're upgrading ball fields, but we're not, likely to put a lot of effort into that if we don't have. It's not going to be ours tomorrow. So Mark has been working for a couple of years on this, trying to get a use agreement, and it's been difficult. But we now have an opportunity, perhaps, to, with the new school board member, with her help, to try to either, what we'd like to do is get it in feet so that we own it all. So that because Maitland Middle has no use for it anymore, they never use it. And so I've talked to her about the possibility of owning that property. And she seems amenable to that. But I just want to let you all know this, so that we, suddenly now we have an option, or an opportunity anyway, to go after this property and, kind of make it part of our inventory of public spaces. And I don't want to go further down that road, without you all knowing about it. And Mark and I have been in contact about it, but if you don't mind, I can continue trying to see if we can make that Maitland's rather than OCPS's. But I didn't want to get out in front of you all. Just want to let you know.
So, do we just think like a thumbs up for that kind of thing, or does it need to go?
I think I'd be looking for a consensus at least for you to direct me to start coordinating with school board.
Okay.
To form a content of an agreement.
And I think John was spot on with the part about, we're not really going to invest in it right now if we can't have a long-term agreement, because really they can pull it back from us any time. But if, we could get a long-term, we could do improvements to it and really make it good for the residents around the area. Yeah, I'm with it. I love the idea. So I would say go forward. That would be mine.
I'm for it.
Yep.
Objection?
Okay. Awesome. All right, well, that was my report. Okay, well, if we don't have anything further to discuss, let's adjourn for the evening. Thank you.
That's it, thank you, sir.
Now we got one other place.